In this video I'm going to show you the very basics of stitching since the beginnings from zero, since how to set your sewing machine and how it works. This is my sewing machine and is a brother, and the model is CP6500, as you can see here. This is a computerized sewing machine. That means it has this digital screen where you can change the specifications for the stitch with these buttons, but also means that it has this button here. With this button I don't need the pedal for to stitch. I only need to press this button and the machine it will stitch itself, and here I can regulate the speed of the stitch. It's also controlling the speed when you are using the pedal. If you set it in maximum, then with the pedal you can reach the maximum. If you set it in medium or something in between, here where you set it, it will be the maximum speed of your pedal can reach. Now this button here is the symbol of the reverse stitch. It's the same symbol in all machines, or pretty much the same. So with this button you can give a reverse stitch to reinforce your stitches at the beginning and in the end of your project. And this button here is to take the needle down or up depending on what you need for some projects, and this here is to set the tension of your machine. And then these buttons here, this in this part is for choose the stitch, and here is for set the length and the width of the stitch. This here is the numbers of the stitches my machine has. It has 59, so you only have to choose the number, put it here, and it will tell you also here which foot you need to set for the specific stitch you are choosing. Here we have this thing to fill the bobbin with thread. I will show you also how it works. And here is to set the thread. This is the foot of my machine, and this button you have here in this part is to release the foot, so you can change it for any other foot you need. This is to make buttonholes. Whenever you are making a buttonhole, you have to, this one, you have to, that's why it has the symbol, you have to put it down, obviously using the foot for that. And here you have the instructions about how to set the thread on your machine. Now let's see how to set our machine. First of all, you need your thread. You have to put it here, or any similar piece you have in your machine. You have to put it in this side. The thread has to come on there, then put it in that side and close it with the stop in this way. Don't put it so tight because it will be difficult to move, so leave a space. First we are going to fill our bobbin with thread. Take the thread coming from here and then just follow the instructions you have here, or if you don't have it, I will tell you how. First you have to pass it here on this thing. Sorry if I don't know the parts in English, that's why I'm showing you. Then you have to pass it here as is showing you here in the diagram, from the right then to the left, and then going inside this circle like this. And then take your bobbin, and if you see, it has holes here and here, so pass the thread through one of those holes. Keep about 10 centimeters out, hold it there, and then put it here and move it like this until you hear a click. Pull the thread until it tense here, and then you have to push this to touch here, like this. Then turn on your machine, and you only have to press the pedal and your bobbin will start getting filled. Leave it like that and then cut here. It's important to cut it now and hold it first when you are filling it, then cut it, otherwise it will get stuck here if you leave it free. Then press the pedal again until the bobbin get filled completely. This piece is for that, is for stop the bobbin to get filled when it's enough thread for your machine, so it will stop automatically. Even if I am pressing the pedal, it will stop. Like now, I still am pressing, you can hear the sound, but it just stops itself. Release the pedal and take your bobbin. Here you have a blade to cut the thread like this, and there you have it ready. Remove the thread from here, and now we will set the thread for a stitch. For a stitch, take it like this, pass it through here, put it inside like this, and then under this piece, then put it inside this, and then up, and inside you have like a handle, so you have to put it inside like this, and then down again. Anyway, your machine always has numbers. Following the order of the numbers is how you have to put your thread. This, it was the 1, then this is the 2, 3, 4 is this one, and then 5 is the last one. Once your thread is here, you have to pass it here to take it close, hold it there near of the needle, and then you have to pass the tip of your thread in the hole of the needle. You can do it manually. This is semi-automatic, so I only have to take this down, put my thread here, and push it more, and then put the thread in this space, and then take it up, and the thread is inside. I only have to pull it in this way, and that's it. Keep it in the back part. For the bobbin, first remove the cover. In this case is pressing this. Remove the cover, and here it will has a diagram which is indicating you how you have to put it. The thread, it has to be here, put it in that way, and in this case of my machine it has this thing. I have to put the thread inside and just follow the way, and there it has a blade to cut it. Then put the cover again, and your machine is ready for a stitch. The first thing you need to do is set the stitch of your machine. In this case I have to set it here, so just choose. In this case for me is with buttons. I only have to change the number. As you can see here, these buttons, it controls the first number and this the second number, so I will choose 01, and here I have first the length of the stitch, and then I have the width of the stitch. In the length of the stitch you are choosing the length of the stitch in vertical, and in the width of the stitch you have to choose obviously the width on the horizontal. Obviously for a straight stitch you don't need to set the width. The width is for zigzag stitches, for example, or for any other decorative stitch. So for this one here is showing me 2 lines because no need. So here you have to choose the length of the stitch. The minimum length of the stitch for me, it depends on the machine. In my machine is 0.2 and this is in millimeters. So 0.2 millimeters is the less I can choose, and the maximum I can choose is 5 millimeters. Now, which length to choose for your stitch? The medium one, 2.5 millimeters, is the standard, so it will work fine with almost every fabric and every needle and every thread. But you can change it depending on what you need. For example, if you are going to make a very thin hem, then it's better if you keep the length in 2 or 1 point from 6 to 1.6 to 2. That means a very short length of the stitch, because you need the stitches to be short so it will not go out because the hem is so thin, for example. And the opposite, when you need more elasticity on your stitch, for example for curves or something like it's not straight or it's like a difficult shape to stitch, if you need like to give elasticity to that stitch, then you can choose a bigger number for the length, for example 3 or 3.5. Other thing is here the machine is telling you, this machine is telling you which foot you need. If you see this drawing here is telling me that I need the foot J. If you see here for broader machines, it has the letter here. This is J for straight stitch. The next thing you have to check in your machine is the tension, and it's here for me. As you can see, the tension is going from 0 and the maximum is 7 for my machine. Some machines it reach 8 or 9. The medium, the standard tension is between 3 and 4, 3.5. Between 3 and 4 in this point, it works fine with most of the fabrics and threads. But if you are going to use a different thread like silk thread or any special acrylic thread, or with very difficult fabric like chiffon or silk, and the tension is not working for you, then you can change it. I can't tell you the specific tension for every fabric or for every thread because it's different for every machine. So what you have to do is first try with 3.5 as I am showing you here. If it's not working for you, then you can reduce it or you can set more. So how can you know that is working or not? Well, the tension is the tension of the upper thread. That means how tense is the upper thread. If the tension is too much, then your fabric it will get wrinkled. The stitches it will be so tight, so that will wrinkle your fabric. And if the tension is so less, your stitches on the fabric it will be so loose, so it will not stay. So if you see your stitches are so loose, or you can see the bobbin bottom thread in the right side of your fabric or your fabric where you are stitching, that means you need to give more tension. And the opposite, if your fabric is getting wrinkled when you are stitching and the stitch looks like so tight, you need to reduce the tension when you are stitching. Now set it always first in 3.5 and make a try in a leftover fabric and check if everything is fine. You can keep that tension, otherwise you can increase it or decrease it. Once you set everything, the tension, the thread and everything, set the foot you will need. With this handle here you can take it up and down. So take it up, put your fabric under and take it down. For any stitch, but most of all for shoulders and underarms, the armpit, I recommend you to first give a reverse stitch. As I told you before, in my machine is pressing this button here. Pressing the button, you can give as many reverse stitches as you want. I recommend between 3 and 5. Then set the thread again. The upper thread, it has to be always under the feet. Once you give your reverse stitches, then you can start stitching. In this case, I have 2.5 length. Let me increase it to 3.5 so you can see the difference. And now I will increase it to 5. And when you finish, you can give also a reverse stitch to secure your stitch. Now here, for example, if you see, my fabric is getting little bit wrinkle. So what I have to do is reduce the tension, not more than, I have 3.5, I will leave it in 3 and give another try. But first, here I want to show you the length of the stitches. As you can see here, at the beginning the stitches are so small, 2.5 millimeters, then here is 3 millimeters, and then here is 5 millimeters. Always give a try before in a leftover. Now I will set the tension on 3. And as you can see here, now I don't get any wrinkle on my stitch, and it's perfect from the front and also under. Now another thing I want to explain you is, now my fabric is folded, but when you have 2 layers of fabric which is not folded, which is like 2 single layers of fabric, for example, when you are stitching panels, you will notice that sometimes your panels are not matching from the bottom part or from the top part. Well, for panels, first of all, you have to stitch it in opposite directions every time. You can watch my 24 panels anarchally video for the full explanation on that. But what I want to explain you now is, when you are stitching, the teeth of the machine here, these teeth here, are pulling the fabric so the stitch can go forward. So the teeth are pulling the fabric. Obviously the teeth are pulling the bottom fabric, and the top fabric is going by itself, following the way. So the teeth will always pull the bottom fabric more, or sometimes it will pull the top fabric more. So in that way you will end up with different lengths of your fabric at the end. One can be shorter than other. To control that, you have to hold your 2 pieces of fabric and then stitch. But you don't have to hold it so tight, you don't have to pull it so tight, because if you pull it so tight, the stitch, it will get wrinkled even if the tension is perfect. And also if you pull it so tight, it can happen that the shape of your stitch, you will mess with that, or also you can mess with the both lengths of your 2 pieces. So you just only have to hold it together and keep it on its place, but don't pull it too much. And as I said before, I always recommend you to make a try before to start stitching your garment, because the machine behaves different with every kind of fabric and every kind of thread. The last thing I want to explain you, oh my god, Nila. The last thing I want to explain you is about the needles. I can't tell you which needle to use for every kind of fabric, but you can know which one to use for a simple, for common sense. The only thing you have to know is which kind of needles you have in the market for your machine. I am fighting with this girl. The kind of needles you have in the market is basically 3 types, and that depends on the tip of the needle. The first type is so sharp needle. The second type is normal sharp, like regular, the standard needle. And the third type of needle is with a rounded tip, is not sharp at all. So if you see your fabric is that kind of fabrics, like so sensitive and so delicate that you can't even touch it because the threads are coming out, then you have to use the kind of needle with the rounded tip. For example, for chiffon, for silk, for any knit fabric, all kind of fabrics that is so delicate and the threads are going out so easily. For that you need a rounded tip needle. Now for thicker fabrics, for example the fabric for jeans or vinyl or any thick thing, you need to use a very pointy and sharp needle, so it will be easier to stitch it and it will not ruin your machine or break the needle. And obviously for medium fabrics, for standard fabrics like for example cotton, you have to use the regular needle. The name and the number it change with every machine, so the regular one you have for your needle, which is not so thin, not so thick, and regular tip, not so sharp, that one is what you have to use for regular fabrics such as cotton, which is the most common. And that's it. I think that is all about how to set your sewing machine. The only thing I want to show you at the end is how the width of the stitch work. I will choose a zigzag stitch, and the width is for stitches who need width, for example the zigzag. I will set the regular one 2.5 length, and I will set 2.5 width stitch for zigzag, and then I will set more for width. I will go to 5 so you can see the difference, and I will set less for the length. No? So you can see the difference. The width of the stitch is obviously from left to right. How width is it? Here is less and here is more. And the length in zigzag is how open is the zigzags. Here is more and here is less, so you can see the difference. Also for zigzag stitches, the tension can change, so check which tension you need for the kind of fabric you are using, and you're done. If you have any other doubt about how to set your sewing machine, or any doubt you need about basics of stitching, let me know and I will explain you.